can kind of see flashbacks of my childhood when it comes to the Quran. Like, I remember that it was definitely a book which was important, but I didn't really know why. I remember going for class mengaji, like at the age of 7 and 8. And I think my Ustadh at the time had a really difficult time with me, I think. Just probably because I was, you know, like a very sleepy kid in class. But, you know, I never really understood it. You know, I remember just memorizing the Al-Fatiha, the 3 Quls, and not really knowing what it meant. And then even when he asked me to read, you know, the Al-Fatiha from the Quran, I would be memorizing it. I would be saying it out of memory, and I wasn't really reading it. And so I think, you know, my connection with the Quran when I was young wasn't really there. You know, even like praying as well, like I didn't know why I was doing it, you know. I don't think that I was really exposed to really understanding, you know, who is Allah, you know. I wasn't that exposed to like just the big question of why, you know. As a kid, I was just spoon-fed, I think. A lot of things just like, nah, ambil, and then see what you do with it.
This is all for dunya. I want akhirah. In every field is actually part of the plan of Allah that began.
Assalamualaikum, Ustadh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm so happy and very blessed that you're actually here in New York City. Thank you so much for spending time.
Any chance I get to come back to New York, I'll take it.
You know, the last time I was in New York, I came to New York to actually go on to MTV and you know, do my whole music thing. So to come back here again 3 years after, subhanAllah, I feel so happy that I'm here to meet you. And it's
Subhanallah.
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 And since then, of course, I started to try to connect with the Quran and started learning last year. So now, alhamdulillah, I can read.
Okay.
Getting into tajweed and slowly but surely getting to really understand the true meanings of Allah's words. But,
Awesome.
I do find it difficult to kind of connect with it like internally and personally. Like you were mentioning earlier, the Quran is for the believer. And it's actually talking to me or to you.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do find trouble getting that. Is it just a part of the process of my learning, or it will come by? Like?
So the thing is that when I first approached it as a book, when I tried to read it in translation, I had a hard time connecting with it also. Okay. It was very difficult for me to find inspiration and meaning in the Quran in just reading a translation. The other problem is in translation, in most translations anyway, it's so Shakespearean that it just reminds me of English class.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes it's even difficult to understand like just one phrase.
Yeah, hast thou not seeneth something.
Yeah.
So like, just hard to connect. But what really helped me was, I mean, the first milestone I would say with like connecting with the Quran is when I heard the Quran being explained by a person in simple language. Right? It was my teacher, Dr. Abdul Sami, and thankfully I knew enough Urdu to understand what he was saying. And I felt like, man, this is a completely different experience. Like an hour or so of listening to that, it just felt like it wasn't even him talking. It was just Quran talking, you know? And it made me realize that the first generation was impacted so much by the Quran because actually their own original experience was not of the Quran as a book, but actually as a speech. They heard it. And the medium in which you experience something, it affects how it's going to impact you. You know, like imagine, for example, you listen to your favorite speech, right, on YouTube or something. Or you read the transcript of that same speech. Would it have the same effect?
No, not really.
Right?
I think it's probably better when you hear it, right?
Yeah, it's a completely different experience. You know, there are emotions there are annotations. There's just things in just the voice of a human being that are carried, that just can't be carried on paper. Reading the Quran has its place. But if you really want to experience, like connect with the Quran, then that's been the legacy, right? The Prophet ﷺ was taught by Jibreel. He wasn't given paper. He was taught by an angel. And then he taught it verbatim. And then the companions taught it verbatim. And the Quran keeps emphasizing, Inna sami'na Qur'anan ajaban, sami'na wa ata'na. We heard, we listened, fastami'u lahu, listen to it. So something about listening to the Quran is a big part of connecting with it. And Allah is saying that He gave this Quran as a healing for whatever somebody might find in the chest. Subhanallah.